All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Something Super Podcast. I'm Steve.
Mark.
And sadly, guys, this week, John could not make it. He has other obligations that he's going to be attending to. So Mark and I decided that because it was such a controversial movie and something that we weren't really sure if we were actually going to cover it, and I think the big wait time and our hesitation sort of was due to the fact that I advised everyone not to actually spend money seeing the Eternals movie because I was not super sold on it. But now that's out on Disney
any
Plus,
chance at a Disney sponsorship. Don't go watch their movies.
Well, get Disney Plus and watch it for free on there. There you go. Disney, please sponsor us. There is redemption here. But so yeah, it was a different type of Marvel movie. So it wasn't that classic, like Iron Man or Thor or Captain America, like ass kicking type movie. It had a lot of lore and things in it that if you don't know the comics and you haven't read up on them, and I'm not even going to lie, I don't know much about the Eternals. It is kind of a weird watch.
Only thing I knew going in was that Thanos is like half eternal because he has the degenerate gene in him.
Yeah, I mean,
so like outside of that though, like I honestly couldn't tell you. Honestly, I could have watched that movie and everything could have been wrong, and I wouldn't have known. I'd have been like, oh, like if they gave Thor like a pitchfork rather than a hammer, I'd be like, yo, the fuck was that? Like,
And I completely agree with you. Like, it's one of those movies that I don't know enough about it to necessarily say it was a bad movie. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to, or as much as I guess I'd hoped I was going to.
Yeah, so, like the way I looked at it is like we were talking about a little bit earlier was, for me, I feel like it's a movie that's going to get better as we get more MCU Phase 5 movies. Because like I feel like it's set up a lot of stuff that's going to happen, but we don't like it's a lot of newer characters that we really don't know that much of. You got the Ironheart series, you now have Kate Bishop, like they're basically restarting the MCU. So for me, I feel like at the end of Phase 5, I will like Eternals more than I like it now.
Okay, that's fair. I think there's, like you said, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about yet that's going to like tie into this. And I think they had a lot of time that they had to cover. So like this was like from the beginning of the earth and like the beginning of time itself until now. And they really tried to condense that into one movie that lasted 2 hours. So it's tough to give all of that back. Although the one big thing that I will say is that they made it canon that Superman, at least the comic or the character, exists in the Marvel universe.
Same with Batman and Alfred.
Yeah, like there's just
they make an Alfred reference and then literally in the next scene they make a Superman reference.
So are these just characters? Are these people that they're aware of? Like it begs to question.
My assumption is that now I could be wrong. They could be planting seeds for if there ever is a live action crossover way, way, way down the line. But for me, I think it's just kind of like acknowledgement and respect. It's like, look, we know you guys are like prime comic book company as well. Like your movies haven't been that great, but hey, at least maybe if we mention them in our movies, people now will go see your movies. Mm-hmm. And there goes our DC sponsorship.
Absolutely. Hey, don't worry. We threw 2 sponsorships out the window in one fell swoop. Fantastic. That's one episode for you. We just don't have to post this one. So yeah, I mean, like basically we get dropped in and learn that the Eternals are essentially superheroes or, like demigods that have existed all throughout time and have meddled as little as possible with humans. I mean, you learn that Athena, who we now like learn that Athena, the goddess of battle from the Greek mythology, like, and Icarus, like these are people that have been around and sort of, inspired the gods of the Greeks, like how else, can you explain the closeness between the characters and stuff? Although I'll be honest with you, a lot of the characters sort of had a weird, I don't know, like vibe to them. Like I didn't know exactly what was going on.
Right. Like a lot of the movie, I didn't know like who to root for. Like I get they're all on the same side for the most part of the movie. But like I'm sitting there, I'm like, Druid, like they could have did so much more with him. I thought he was the coolest one personally.
I liked his suit the best. Like,
yeah,
black
like
and red was just that's my go-to.
Like I did like I forget her name, but the speedster.
That was Makari? No. No. That was Makari, I think. Yeah, the one in the red, right? Where she was like super fast.
Yeah.
I mean, and these characters again, like Mark and I are sitting here fumbling through characters because there's just not enough MCU draw to them right now. Because, again, it's if you told me 15 years ago about the Avengers and Iron Man and Thor, like I probably would have been like, oh, okay, I mean, it sounds kind of cool. Like, whatever. Maybe they build these characters into something awesome. I mean, they killed Ajak, Salma Hayek's character, like in the jump. That was pretty quick where she was gone.
My fiance straight up said that she's like, how are you gonna build Salma Hayek and kill her off in 5 minutes? I was like, that's what they do. Hey.
Although I'll tell you what, I liked Icarus's character because he was doing what he thought was the right. I have a thing for like the good guys who are actually bad, but like are doing it for the reasons that they believe are right, as long as they're not like, just murder for murder's sake. Like it's not the Joker.
So do you put Homelander in that category?
See, he let an entire plane of people go down, even though he could have saved them. Like he's kind of a dick.
Right, but there's other, yeah. But that's another episode.
Yeah, we'll get into that when season 3 or 4 comes out for the boys. I'm excited for that.
Same. But no, and then the other thing for me was like Kit Harington was in the movie for a whole like 4 minutes. Like I get they're setting him up to become Black Knight. And at the end in the post-credit scene, that's him talking to Blade. And I forget what their team up's called, but it's like I think it's Daredevil, Moon Knight, Blade, and Black Knight or something like that. I forget what they're called, but like they could be getting ready to set up that like another sub squad. Like, do you think Marvel's getting ready to go just full squads at this point? Like you're gonna have the Dark Avengers, you have Young Avengers, the Avengers, you have Hydra, you have the Hive, you have
yeah, I mean it very well could be. Like I said, phase 4, we've seen a lot of like quote unquote buddy cop stuff where you get the main character and their sidekick, or like the two main characters in the case of Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's a lot of team up stuff going on. So whether it's you're going to see the Eternals finally stepping in and they're going to fight against maybe like the Dark Avengers or something, or a planet killing monster that you could have Silver Surfered that shit. Like these are all things that we have yet to see. They didn't really give us much information, which is good and bad because it begs that question, like what's going to happen next. But there's also like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what are we doing here?
Can I just point out that my favorite part of the whole movie was at the end when oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. The
which guy?
Not the Eternal. What's the freaking
Kit Harington?
Was it Helmish?
Gilgamesh?
No, not Gilgamesh. The oh my god. Nowhere. It's the skull of a the big ass dude, the red one with the 6 eyes. Fucking
oh.
What are they called again? Orisham.
The Celestials.
Celestial, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. My favorite part is a Celestial shows up to our planet, takes Kit Harington's girlfriend, and his first thought is like, let me grab my sword. I'm like, really? Like, I get like that would have been something for like the deviant, like, oh shit, their deviants are real. And then it's like,
yeah,
okay, let me go get my sword. Like, this is a fucking planet destroying motherfucker. Like,
tell you what though, I appreciate the candor. I'm just gonna get a sword.
Yeah,
here we go.
I don't know. See, my problems with this movie, honestly, it's sad, but it's like I'm so nitpicky with this one because it's like I don't know much about them. So I start going to like, I get it's a comic book movie, but how did that not fuck up like the Earth's gravitational pull or anything like that with the size that celestials are? They should have their own. He should have had his own gravitational pull, and literally like 4 planets should have just slammed into him at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
and so here's the big things that I wasn't like a huge fan of in this regard. Like, all right, so they were placed on Earth to fight deviants, right?
right.
Deviants are these like fucking creatures that are, I don't even know how to describe. Like, they look like animals, but they also look like biomechanic. Cool, awesome. I'm all about it.
They reminded me personally more of like symbiotes, like how they evolved and changed shape and could kind of like had like a free flow kind of a look to them. But go on.
So at no point in anyone's like history, or I mean, fuck, there's Google in the MCU. Like, no one's like spotted one of these and said to like, I don't know, fucking Iron Man, hey, there's this weird dog looking thing in my backyard that's like tearing apart my neighbors. Like, it's just never existed before until now. And these fucking Celestials have been waiting all of this time. Or not the Celestials, the Eternals have been waiting all this time for that one instance. And then they kill the Deviants. And then the Celestial just wipes the planet. And then they get their memories wiped. And then they start over again. Like,
yeah, I couldn't stand that whole matrixy, like, oh, you're actually like computers and you're androids essentially.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, I get where you're coming from. The way I understood it was the Celestials created the Eternals and the Deviants.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave them, I guess, a false sense of victory because in order for the new Celestial to emerge, it had to absorb energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're getting a ton of energy from the Eternals fighting the Deviants. So I think these Deviants were just recently created to give that last little burst of energy because of the snap taking away those 5 years.
Yeah. And
Which,
I get that.
That's another thing. Do you think Thanos knew about all of that and that's why he wanted to wipe half of? Or do you think his soul, he was just tunnel visioned in on this destroyed my planet?
So I like that theory. So now Thanos didn't just like get 6 stones and say, fuck Earth. Like, I hate Earth.
Right.
He had gone to, and he was doing this long before he had the stones, going to places and wiping out half of their population. Now, again, he could be called the Mad Titan. You can, run this whichever way you like. This is, a theory that just popped into my head. Maybe he was aware because his brother is a Celestial, or I'm sorry, he's an Eternal, and he's aware that like there are Celestials basically buried in these planets that are waiting to emerge. So the less people and the less energy that is produced on these planets, the less Celestials exist, which means the less planets get destroyed. So maybe Thanos wasn't doing a bad thing.
Thanos was a good guy.
Thanos was right, Hawkeye.
Because that's what I started thinking. I was like, what if Thanos knew this grand scheme? Because he even said, like, when a Celestial is born, it wipes out that universe, but it births 900 or 9 million or whatever, like an infinite amount more.
Mm-hmm.
So what if Thanos just knew that that's what was happening? And that's why the snap went through the universe, like you said, not just fuck Earth.
Yeah. And I think, again, that's a huge thing that we could dive into. That's a big theory. I mean, I'd love to expand on that one day. Like, honestly, that is something that, again, now Thanos is dead, but like, could he have been aware of all of this? And like, that's his way of trying to save the universe. But he also like can't expose the Eternals, can't expose the Celestials. Like, and first of all, if you've seen the movie Don't Look Up, like, nobody listens when you tell them that some bad shit's going to happen.
Right.
Like, if you're like, the entire world's going to be destroyed in a week if you keep doing this. Like, no, people only listen to giant fucking mass extinction, I guess. Like, is the easiest way to put it. But like, there is Thanos being a fucking hero. I mean, if our theory is correct, but he could have been like, all right, yeah, like I'm going to wipe out half of humanity. Now, again, dick move, but also like, was wiping out half of humanity to save all of humanity.
Right. I mean, that's just something that like, because like I heard that theory and I was like, but I had never seen Eternal, so I didn't know the whole scheme and plans. And I'm really curious, like, if that's actually like how it works in the comics. Like, is that really like a thing, or is it like
that's something I need to do more research on?
Right, because like I understand that it's like the thing about the Eternals being programmed and then their memories, like that kind of thing. Yeah, but like I don't know if like a celestial. Obviously, they come from somewhere, so I didn't know that they were birthed out of planets that destroys like. Does it destroy a universe or that planet?
I think it's just that planet. Like when the Celestials birth, I think just that planet gets destroyed.
Okay, I didn't know if it's the planet or this that system.
I would need to again do more research. Like there's
right
so many questions that I guess are left unanswered. And that's not saying that the comics or the movie itself didn't really like answer anything, but there's just like not enough. There's so much
I'm
shit
not
that needed to
familiar
happen.
enough with them.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that needed to happen, and they fit a lot of information into a short movie. I think the Eternals would have been a great series. You could sort of dive into each character, dive into what the deviants are, dive into the Celestials, and have like the fucking Icarus battle at the end as like a season finale.
Right. The one thing I did love though, Karun. He was probably my favorite character of the entire movie. Kingo's valet.
Yeah. Oh, he's fucking hilarious.
When they're in the woods or whatever, they smash like 5 of his cameras. He pulls out and he's like, "How many do you have?" He's like, "Always come prepared." Like,
I also love the fact that he used his like the fact that he is an eternal and like his lifeless yeah, like he is a Hollywood superstar.
Yeah.
Like that he used his ability for that. And dude, that's fucking hilarious to me.
I think one of the funniest scenes was in the MCU is it's so funny because he's not even on screen. It's when Kingo's fighting the one deviant and he like slides under. He's got like all like the blood and stuff or whatever it is dripping on. He's like, "Did you get that?" And just all screen here, "I got it." So all you can picture is he's just hiding somewhere behind like a tree, just videotaping Kingo. Like if that's not like dedication to your job and loyalty, don't at me. Like that is absolutely the definition. Like,
and there's a lot of like really good, one-off scenes very similar to that in this movie. I'm not saying it was a bad movie. I'm saying it just doesn't fit well yet into the puzzle that is the MCU. We have, less than 100 days until Multiverse of Madness. We got a lot going on. I want to see when all the pieces fall together, how the Eternals sort of fits in. Give me that in a year. I'll come back and rewatch the Eternals and see as it fits in better into the MCU web. And maybe I'll be happier with it. I just, again, if I had to give it a score out of 10, we've been giving fairly high scores to most of the stuff that's come out recently. I'm going to give it like visually great movie. That's pretty much what saved it. Like a 6.5.
I'm in that ballpark. I'd go like 7.5.
And again, visually, like very impressive. Great effects. The movie was pretty good overall as far as that goes. Like the storyline was, again, I need to do more research on it. Concept, awesome. But yeah, it felt like it sort of missed the mark a little bit. And that's okay.
Honestly, that could be part of our problem too, is that we just don't know enough.
And that's fine. If you as listeners, our faithful few want to, give us a little bit of information on the Eternals, if you have it, awesome. Reach out to us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. Let us know. Like, give us a little bit more background. Make us believers. I want to love this movie like I love almost every other Marvel movie. Now, am I saying every single Marvel movie has been like a smash hit, knock out of the park? No, there have been our, Thor Dark World where it's just kind of like, it's a good movie. It's part of the trilogy. I'm going to accept it. but then you have your Ragnaroks, which make up for that.
Right. And I mean, that's where I'm at. Cause like now that we know like the implication that Thor Dark World had,
sure.
Because I mean, like it introduces the ether, which is and turns out to end up being the reality stone.
Exactly. And at the time,
like
not that important. Now it's huge.
And that's where I think they are doing with this movie. Like, because it just feels out of place with everything else that dropped, like you said, between WandaVision, between Loki, Spider-Man, like all them shows and movies. And then this just did not like it really didn't feel like much of the Marvel universe.
No, it didn't feel like the Marvel universe at all. I mean, there was like minor references to, who's going to lead the Avengers now, like that kind of stuff. I'm like, cool, awesome. I appreciate it. I respect it. But yeah,
be Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. And then
I'm pretty sure they've announced it. I think that Doctor Strange is canon, like the new leader.
Okay. I mean, I'm cool with that, honestly. And
because I mean, I don't know who else would. I mean, maybe Hulk.
I don't think so. He doesn't seem like
really
he wants to be. Well, it's not even that he's not a leader. I just don't think he wants to be like in the spotlight like that. He's just not like he's good where he was. Put him in a lab, let him be smart, let him do his thing, let him smash stuff occasionally. Like, I'm cool with that. I think he's a good assistant character, which is probably why they haven't given Mark Ruffalo his own Hulk movie, besides the fact that the first two that they really just didn't hit the mark the way they were supposed to.
No, yeah, and I completely agree with that wholeheartedly.
But I mean, for the star-studded cast that they had for Eternals, they did great casting. I think it was huge to see a lot of these characters' transformations from, people they've been before into now Marvel heroes. So I have high hopes for going back and rewatching this. Like I said, for now, I'll give it that 6.5. Talk to me in a year, and maybe it'll be a 9, be a 9, 9.3. And I would love to come back and touch base on that later.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think it could go up, but a 9.3, that's
I mean, what if it's one of those like, movies that just it has way more importance than we realize right now. And I think that would be great.
Dark World a 9.3.
Fuck no. I give Thor Dark World like an 8.2.
I give it like a 6.
I said just because of the ether. I think it's like one of those necessary movies. Like it needed to be there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's really all I have as far as Eternals go. Like I said, guys, please reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. Let us know your thoughts, your feelings. If we can dive deeper, give us comic book suggestions on like what we should read up on for the Eternals. We're going to do our own research. We're going to come back. We're going to touch base on this later. We'll get John's opinion on it as well. But for right now, I think, this is where we are. This is where we landed.
Yeah. I mean, as far as any final thoughts that I have, really, it was just, I feel like that's one where the jury's still out and time will tell.
Yep. I absolutely agree. All right. Well, to wrap things up here, guys, as always, check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Something Super Podcast, at SS Podcast 52 on Twitter. We're on all of your major streaming platforms. Anchor, thank you so much for being our host. And last but not least, my name's Steve.
I'm Mark.
We'll catch you guys next week.